Alright YouTube, so QuakeCon 2018 has came and gone. Of course, with the channel, we were mainly just focused on the Fallout 76 panel. We learned quite a bit about the game. You can go back and watch our recap if you want to. One of the things they were focused on with this panel at QuakeCon was the perk system for Fallout 76, and we kind of went over that, obviously, with my recap video, but I wanted to put it into a singular video, just talk about the perk system as a whole and how it's going to work. Now, I've done a video similar to this, but of course, at that time, we didn't know as much as we know now about the perk system. The perk system in Fallout 76 is similar in a very small way to both Bethesda Fallout games in that you pick a perk every time you level up, but other than that, it's very different. Now, how you pick perks in Fallout 76 is very different from previous games. When you level up, you don't just outright grab a perk. You have to place a single point into one of the special stats. The number in that special stats is essentially your mana, as Todd Howard jokes about. If you have 10 in a certain special stat, certain perk cards cost different values. Like this Gladiator one costs 1, so it takes up one of your, we'll say your 10 essentially. You'll then have 9 left. Now, if you want to rank up a perk that you already have, you have to have the required special stat. So say the perk costs 2, but you have, say, 3 in that special stat, you can actually take your point when you level up and put it into a different special stat, but come back to that particular perk under a different special category and then rank it up, at least according to Jeff Gardner at QuakeCon. Something I'm still not sure of is what determines the perk cards that we are seeing. Are they randomized? Because I've heard it talked about in the past that when you level up, you put a point into a special stat, and then it just shows you 3 random perk cards, but I don't know if that's actually the case. Is it based on your level, or is it based on the particular number of that special stat? How many points you put into that shows you different perk cards. Because what I find interesting is when you look at that gameplay, they show a character leveling up to level 2, and then when he places his point under strength, it only shows you 2 perk cards, which is kind of weird because if you look at the past Fallout games, anytime you level up, you can look at the entire perk list. And with Fallout 4, you can just pull up the perk chart anytime you wanted to, and you can plan out your builds ahead of time because you can look what each perk would require. But with this game, it doesn't seem to be the case. You're not looking at every single strength perk card. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because you can't see every perk that's available. So are you placing points into special stats on like blind faith and hoping that a good perk card is going to show up? Or can you look at all the perk cards ahead of time? Or do you know what perk's going to be available when you place a point into special stat? So like it's just something that needs a little bit of clarification. Now when it comes to perk card costs, they range anywhere from 1 to 5, with 5 obviously being probably some of the better perks or the higher ranked perks in the game. And your special stats cap out at 15 instead of the usual 10. So if you happen to have one of your specials maxed at 15, this means you could equip 3 perk cards that cost 5, which obviously equals 15, or you could choose 5 of them that cost 3, or you could choose 15 of them that cost 1. It's just up to you whether or not you want quality over quantity, or vice versa. Or any combination of that. You could choose 1 that costs 5, 2 that costs 3, and 4 that costs 1. It's just kind of up to whatever you want. Now, going back to the ranking up of perks, Todd Howard explains it in a way that does and doesn't make sense. He talks about you grabbing the same perk card again. You have 2 of that perk card. You combine them into one that obviously will cost more because it is a stronger version of that perk. Now, I completely understand everything Todd Howard's saying here. I just don't understand why there's actually a second physical card whenever you're trying to rank something up. Why doesn't it just go into the second stage, the second rank of that perk card, unless it pertains to the perk packs, which we're about to talk about. Perk packs are something you get every 2 levels up until level 10, and after that it's every 5 levels. You open it up, it's got 4 perk cards, a joke card, and a stick of gum. You can actually eat the stick of gum if your character is hungry. It'll satiate their hunger. These are interesting to say the least. Their purpose is to show off perks that you may not know about under special stats that you may not be invested in. You might see a badass perk that's in intelligence and you're not actually invested in intelligence, but maybe you're going to put a couple points into it so that you can actually use this perk card. Now I have a few questions for this, obviously. Do you only see perks that you don't already have unlocked? Are they always new perks, or can you get, a second or third copy of a perk card that you already have? And do you actually use them? Are you able to use them? I'm assuming you can, otherwise the perk packs would be entirely useless. If we go back to the example of the character ranking up his Gladiator perk, whenever he chose Gladiator again, it gave him a second copy. He combined the 2 cards together to make the stronger card. And my question is, if I happen to pull, let's say, Gladiator out of one of my perk packs, I already own 2 copies. Do I have to waste a level up on combining those and rank up that perk card, or can I do that any time? Because if I'm forced to waste a level up to combine 2 cards together, even though I already own multiple copies of that card, that seems kind of dumb to me. Moving on to other information, we know that there are hundreds of cards in the game. They didn't specify an actual number. It'd be nice to know, hey, there's 200, 300, 400 cards in the game. And does this actually mean that there's hundreds, or are there like 70 or 80 perks? But because of all the different ranks that some of the perks have, it equates to, hundreds. You stop earning perk points at level 50, so after level 50, you no longer can invest points into your special stats, but you can continue unlocking perk cards. Somebody pointed out in the comment section of my recap video that us stopping at level 50 actually allows you to have every special stat at 8 if you want to do it evenly. Now, I wouldn't actually recommend that because it should be based on what the actual perks are in the game, not just having every special stat even, but it's just an interesting bit of information. We can also swap perk cards anytime we want to with the ones we already have unlocked. We've known this for a long time now, but that was confirmed that it is literally at any point in time. It's in real time. The game is, multiplayer PvP, so if you're in the menu trying to swap your perks around, you can still be attacked by players or enemies. And we've also known for a while that you can share some of your perk cards with the team whenever y'all are playing together, but we don't know exactly which ones qualify. Obviously, not every single perk can be shared with your team just by Lone Wanderer existing. It's a perk that only benefits you if you're traveling alone. So not every perk card can be shared with everybody. And also, it seems like you can only share like lower end perk cards with your group of friends unless you invest in Charisma. The description for Charisma says, Charisma is your ability to lead and help others. It allows you to share higher point perk cards and also affects your rewards from group missions and prices when you barter. Now, with the description under these special stats, we don't know if they're actually talking about the special stat itself or if they're just explaining perk cards that you can get. But either way, you have to invest in Charisma specifically if you want to share your higher end perk cards with your squad. And that's everything you need to know about the perk system for Fallout 76. In the video, I obviously had a few questions. There's still some things that I want answered, but we know the mechanics and how it works now. To do a quick recap of the leveling and perk system for the game, you level up, you put 1 point into any special stat, you then unlock a perk. How many perks you can have depends on how many points you have in each special stat. Cards can cost anywhere from 1 to 5. Special stats cap out at 15. You get perk packs every couple of levels. They give you random cards that can be cards that you can't even access yet. You stop earning perk points after level 50, but you can still unlock perks as you continue to level. You can swap out perks anytime. Perks can be shared with your friends. We don't know exactly which ones. The higher end perks can be shared if you invest in Charisma. And that's how the perks work in Fallout 76. So let me know your thoughts below, guys. As always, what do you think of the new perk system? Did any of this make sense to you at all? We're probably going to do a video very similar to this for the PvP and like the multiplayer of the game that we learned at QuakeCon. Again, I talked about that in the recap video, but I want to do a video specifically about that so we can have a discussion about that specifically. So if you want to see that video, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Turn on notifications. Follow me on Twitter at TheDashingDavid. Add my Discord. Links to my social networks are in the description and in the outro. Later, guys.
Give me forever for a while, give me forever for a while. Quit acting like a baby, or at least less like a child.